Okay, guys, I think we are live right now. Well, if you can hear me and see me, just give me a shout out in the chat. We are doing a late night review of a certain property. So it's really great. Wow, seeing many of you actually turning up live right now. Thank you for joining. Cool. Right, so this is how we're gonna do this. Just want to make sure that every one of you can hear me and see me well. So before we begin, and today it's very exciting because I'm actually did a full new research regarding one of these very dynamic and quite a hyped up location as well. That I can believe there's a huge transformation, adjustment, and change in the next couple of years. And that's the reason why, if you have been following me, you know that I do not usually review every single properties. Okay, so I think there are many people who actually review every single property, and then at the end of the day, you don't know whether which one is ideal. So I'm very selective in terms of the properties I review because I will always stand in the eyes of a consumer or an investor to say that, hey, if I were to buy this property, whether it's for own stay or for investment, is it ideal? So I will look at myself from a family perspective, from a consumer perspective, as well as an investor to see whether this property has what it takes, all the checkboxes. And many of you who have been following me, I'm very kiasu and kiasi in terms of selecting property. We're very careful, and that's why we have multiple checklists. And later on, I will be sharing with you this 7-star scorecard. Okay, this 7-star scorecard is something that you must have in your property search before you even jump into purchasing any properties out there. Well, so many a times we will be bombarded with all the hype out there, the crave of what everybody's talking about it, the social media, the newspapers, until you yourself are also confused about your own direction and you may be swayed from your original plan. I think that is something that we have to be very extremely careful about. And that's the reason why I always want to do videos like this, is to kind of allow us as homeowners and consumers to make an informed decision before we make it. And this channel, if you've been following us, we do a lot of educational content, be it it's a good content out there that people can actually learn, as well as what are the traps and all the mistakes that others are usually making. You can also learn from this channel to avoid them totally. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, now's your best time to do that while we wait for the rest of them to actually come in. Well, I can see some of them. Yeah, all right, cool. All right, so I think today, one of the key things that I want to highlight is with this year, and there's a couple of launches coming up. Which property is actually a kind of a sure win. Of course, we all know there is no sure win 100% in the property, but which actually give us the lowest risk capacity. I think that is something that we want to look into. And today I've done this whole new set of research, and you want to stay tuned all the way to the end. Why? Because I will be doing a direct comparison. Okay, a direct comparison of this property versus the surrounding property. Okay, in the location that we go for. So if let's say today you're looking at this particular location where there's huge transformation areas and timeline, you may want to stay all the way to the end, because throughout, at the end of it, I will be actually doing a direct comparison in terms of the layout. Okay, because we know that as homeowners, whether we are buying a new property or a resale property, eventually we still need to sell this property away. And that has always been one of our key guidelines to know what's our exit strategy all about. And the exit strategy has a lot to do with layout. So at the end of this, I will be doing this comparison, and you'll be in for a treat, because we'll be covering not just the 2 bedrooms, we'll be covering the entire 2 bedrooms, 3, 4 bedrooms even, and how this property that I'm introducing you, which I've been monitoring it, I've been waiting for it, and finally it's going to come out soon. So this is my review for you all. So give me a second while I share the screen so you guys can have the insights of where I am and how do I see this property. So how many of you are excited to kind of deep dive together with me and learn at the same time of this property? So this is what we usually do even for our own personal consult clients, right? Is we dive in very deep to give our clients a better understanding, more confidence about the knowledge, the capacity of what's happening before we even go into purchasing. And that's why they tap on our knowledge and our expertise in knowing the details before they purchase. Well, so one of the key thing I want to share with you this about the land bid. All right, so because since COVID, right, a lot of the land costs as well as prices has escalated since COVID period 2021 onwards all the way until now. You can see both the resale prices and the new prices has escalated quite a fair bit. So today, if you come and tell me, say, oh, Edmund, actually my property make money, I will ask you to take a step back. Okay, don't just look at the last 2 years. And even if today you are buying a property, I think it's a very unfair statement to say is that, oh, today whatever you are buying is actually quite safe. All right, on the contrast, the last 2 years jump in terms of pricing are a little bit, we have to be a little bit more careful. The reason why I say that is because across the board, whether it's HDB, condos, around the entire Singapore region, have already escalated in prices. So the question is, will you be the one buying the most expensive now that it's at its peak? All right, so something that we have to understand. And the reason why I want to bring this land plot bid in 2021 is because we always derive our prices and our data entry based on land prices. So if you look at 2021, right, there are two land parcels at One North Slim Barracks, actually that fetch about 10 bids, which means there's actually a very high demand. And the key thing is that after 2021, basically there's no more land plots. So if you can see, there are two land plots here that was actually released, parcel A and parcel B. And I can still recall, right, when they launched this period, this was just after COVID and everything was kind of lukewarm. We don't know, we kind of uncertain. But then this plot of land actually was what? Was actually bidded almost immediately. And when we further break down the numbers, right? That's the reason why we use data and numbers. Those our clients who work with us, you have access into all this data that generally is not available to public to make a more informed decision in terms of your purchase. So if you can look at this Slim Barrack, right? So this break-even price after we calculate all the land cost, construction, land financing, these are as close as the estimates that we can do. And that's why we are able to kind of determine how a break-even price, the land cost that they have acquired plus all the costs, what's the estimate price that they are able to break even, which is about 1,900 plus per square foot. And that's where we will do a projection. Then we'll do a projection like, let's say if we are doing a 20% profit, 25% profit, to even 35% profit, what is the average per square foot? So that gives us an indication like, okay, if today I'm going to buy this property, what is my limit? What is my overall pricing that I should be careful about? Is this price, will I be priced too high if, let's say, it crosses a 30 or even 40% profit range for the developer? So, of course, do we know how much are they going to be launched for this property? We do not know. And that's the reason why we want to do as much homework as we can before we even step into whether you're doing the balloting or you're buying the balance unit. We have to do homework. All right, so one of the key things that I always share with my clients is never purchase something if you are unsure of the numbers. And we have gotten this many times. Many of them inquired through our YouTube channels. And after seeing some of my comparison for some of the videos, they actually reach out. And when they reach out, the unfortunate truth is they already purchased the property and they chance upon the videos that I share very openly. What are the mistakes? What are the traps that most consumers make? And they regretted their choice, but they already purchased it. So for those of you who are watching, I believe that if let's say you're looking to purchase a property, perhaps you want to get a second opinion first before you jump into it. At least you are confident and you are very sure like, hey, this is the pricing, this is the type of properties I should go into, and not come and reach out to me when you already purchased and then you ask me, how I am, how Coach Edmund, what can I do? By then, very tough for you to give up the unit. Or you already put in your money, your 5%, everything. So you rather play safe or slow down to move fast, my friend. All right, so if you look at this parcel B, right, you can see that Blossom by the Park, during then, they bought the land actually 1,866 per square foot. Okay, and this is actually much higher in terms of the per square foot break even. And they transacted prices because Blossom already launched, right? And it's sold. The average transaction is about 2,400 plus per square foot. And the highest transaction was about 2,700. So you can ask yourself, hey, how come Blossom and One North there's a difference? right? And Blossom already launched. So technically, do you agree that a lot of, if you have been watching a lot of all this content, a lot of agents are always talking about, oh, the future land price are always higher. You see, they always say about this. That's why if you buy the earlier batch of property, you can what? You can save, right? You can be safer. So this case is not. So the question is, are you absorbing the right content out in YouTube? All right. So there's also something out in the medium, social media, or even all the blogs and websites that you're reading. Yeah, because this is one clear example, right? That even though here at One North is actually launched later, which is now after Blossom, but if you have understand how to look at the fundamentals, you will realize that One North actually purchased and won the bid at about $1,900 per square foot, easily $40 per square foot lesser. So every cent count, every percentage counts. And which means that if let's say today they have purchased the land at a lower cost, does it mean that they will sell lower? That is also another developer strategy that we have to be careful about. So a lot of the times people always say that, oh, a developer buy land cheap, that means they will sell cheap. Okay, come on, my friends. Developers are also business people, right? If they see that the market is at their favor, do you think they will stand there and say that, let me sell you cheaper, let me give you discounts? So sometimes we must think on the other aspect of things. And that's why in our consultation, we do a lot of perspective. All right, we are here to share with you different perspectives of how we look at property. Yeah, so this is why we estimate the launch maybe about 2005 to 2006, which is already indication, this is indication only, lower than Blossom by the Park. All right, so one of the key things is that today, if you have two plots, which one will you go for? Here at One North, which is 6 minutes to MRT, and Media Center is 14 minutes to MRT. All right, I think the answer is very clear. So why do I want to show you this? Is because later on, the 7-star scorecard, the 7-star scorecard is going to also help you. Even today, you are not considering this project and you're kind of eyeing on something. You may want to consider these 7 key components that is important in your purchase. And many of the times when we are buying our property, even our clients who are buying their property, we uses a very strict guideline, a very strict checklist to make sure that this property falls into all these criteria before we move forward. Right? That is the reason why we are able to exit in time to come for a profit to make 6 figures. Right? So one of these key area, why is that I'm so excited about this property? Is because it's very rare that you get to have almost everything out there that we are looking for in a property that you can hold its value, you can protect the value. Okay, so let me just give you a quick overview from a pricing perspective so that you have an idea. So now, even for Clementi, which was recently bidded, right, in 2023 November, you can see that their average per square foot is already 2,100 plus, which means in Clementi, although it's very near to the MRT, where the Cross Island line has been announced, so I kind of jackpot because I also have property nearby which I spotted and we bought it, and now the property already went up easily by how many percent? One yeah, about 40% already went up. All right. So yeah, so if you can see the Clementi in future, these future launches, they are even easily going up to 2005 to 2009 per square foot based on the estimate profits. And of course, there's another Pine Grove. If you have not been there, you know that it's nowhere near much of the any MRT. And this property already people are purchasing, the developers purchase at about 2001 per square foot, which makes the per square foot in future with the pricing to launch at least 2005 to 2008 plus. So that's why I'm kind of excited for the Hill and One North, because I see that there's different traits that um, uh, that kind of brings value into this area, and particularly this property. And I always talk about, if some of you have seen my videos, even my ads, right? I talk about, and some of you have attended my webinar, I talk about the commercial effect. The commercial effect is also something very real. And a lot of times, this was forgotten for the last couple of years because the market was doing well. Everybody's, whatever they touch kind of turned into gold. But I think moving forward in the next 10 to 15 years, one of the key traits you must have in your property is this commercial effect. Okay, you must be very careful regarding this commercial effect. And one of the key commercial effects is meaning you need to make sure that there's future transformations in your area. All right. So for One North area, we are talking about this is just the first phase of their transformation. There are multiple plots still waiting to be developed. This is a very untapped zone. And if you start, and whenever you see master plan like this, if you don't know what's master plan, go through my videos, please. If not, you can come to my class so that you can understand better. Yeah, so if you come to see a master plan with multiple areas where it's zoned for whether it's the white color is the white sites, meaning you can do commercial and residential, or you will see their areas of improvement. So, like some of all these projects, they are done quite well. In 2023, Blossom by the Parks, Jaden, Grand Dunban, Reserve Residences. And you may have seen my video that I commented on some of all these projects. While they may sell well, okay, all the properties in terms of percentage are very well. Okay, but let me throw you a boomerang here. It doesn't mean that they will perform well in future. Okay, so there is something that I think consumers, we are sometimes always overwhelmed with whenever we see articles like this. Wow, this project can sell so many. Oh, that means it's a good project. Usually it's like that. It's like when we go hawker center, we queue, right? Those long queue one, usually, wow, very good actually. Let me queue. How many of you got the situation where you see long queue, you go and queue? Then after that, you eat the food. Like not good, eh? That means you're like gonna bluff like that. Okay, I mean, I myself have multiple times. So it's the same thing for projects like this. We're not saying that all these projects are no good. Okay, it's just that sometimes when we see projects being sold out or maybe wow, very high sales, it could be due to many different reasons. All right, pricing definitely. Of course, another area is whether there's a hype to it. So I did my fair share of my analysis on Grand Dunban Reserve as well. So if you have not subscribed or even followed some of these videos, go and take a look. We always use different form of perspective to kind of understand the property in the end. But why Hill and One North is kind of something interesting is because I think the whole entire transformation we're talking about 400 leading companies, which are from the tech companies and all the logistic companies. And if you have drive yourself past AYE, you will have seen all the big brands are there. You know, Grab, Shopee, TikTok. They're all big brands are there because One North area is deemed as the Silicon Valley of Southeast Asia, and there's a lot of unicorn startups. You know, and their valuation is very very huge from different countries. You know, a lot of the things of, should I say, foreign funds, foreign investors, foreign companies, we don't usually see them in the normal neighborhoods, but they are all situated at One North area. So if you have chance, right, over the weekend, you can just drive down. Cannot be weekend, sorry. Weekend, the ching one, nothing one, nobody, because it's an office area, right? But during the weekdays, right, you can, if you just go during the normal office hours, you'll be surprised on how developed that area is. So because every year we have our annual conventions there where producers are being recognized, right? And I always make a point to always travel there much, much earlier to just kind of witness the how, the foot traffic, the people around there, sometimes if we never even go into that location to kind of have a sense and have a feel, right, we may, reject that area totally. It's the same thing for those of you following me for the longest time. I'm an Easterner, right? So Eastern, yeah. So I've always been an Easterner, and once an Easterner, always an Easterner. So you kind of favor East side. Wow, so much. That's why you want to do everything there. You always say East is better than everywhere else. But recent 5 to 7 years, right, because of my research for clients in terms of their property purchase, I start shifting and do more research in the north side as well as the west side. And you'll be surprised that I spotted a lot of opportunities, in those two zones where in the next 10 to 15 years, it's going to be very, very exciting. So even though I love the East, but if you're asking me where I want to put my money is, right? Okay, this is very open. I will also want to put part of my investments into the west side of Singapore, at least for the next 10 to 15 years. Right. So this is a tip for every one of you who want to maybe get a first hand. That's where, and I will share with you why I say so personally, because everybody's situation is different, right? But for One North area, I think this area is kind of in the center of all this west side development where we have lakeside gardens area, we have lakeside transformation going on, we have Tengah transformation going on, we have the Jurong Lake District. So there's a lot of all this movement, and One North forms part of it, even though it's more in the central area. All right, so this is a catalyst, if you ask me, a catalyst where a lot of the major businesses are in. And why so? Because in Singapore, we are already seeing an increase in our IT and communication businesses. All right. And that's why it actually indirectly push up our GDP. And everything that Singapore does, right? If GDP is good, what happened to property prices? Property prices also increase. So you also want to study a lot on the macro sense, not just on GDP. You may also want to study on in terms of population. What are the kind of population coming? Who are the kind of population coming into Singapore in the next 10 years? So these are where we study from a macro perspective. And why One North is going to be only going to become even more exciting is because whenever government spends money into an area, and we're not talking about building a hawker center or a shopping mall, we're talking about major infrastructure like the opening of flyover at One North. So these are all things that it already give us a hint that, hey, the reason why we are doing this is because there will be more activities, more inclusions coming up. So this is what I always share that why Singapore succeed, and why is it that we as busy professionals and homeowners, we can also ride on the government trend is because government will always build infrastructure first. Okay, this is where you hear from me first. All right, so if this is the first time you hear from me, I want you to like the video also and subscribe as well. It will do me great. And also comment like what are some of the videos that you also like us to actually share with you. Yeah, so one of the key things is that you must know we always build infrastructure first so that we can accommodate the future population growth. So when we see major infrastructures, whether it's a big road, opening of a land, you see hoardings coming up, you know something is going to happen. And government will be pouring billions of dollars into it because they want to make sure the infrastructure can support the population and the demand. Right. So, and this is also the reason why, if you look at the launches around in One North, they are all in very, very high percentage. Of course, Media Center has not been launched yet, but we will be expecting also a very good outcome when this is being launched. And later on, I'll also be sharing with you like what are the key numbers? Why is it that One North will be attracting such a high percentage in terms of purchase? How many of you want to know that? Seriously? Yeah, so we all use data and numbers to kind of guide us, right? To make an informed decision. So later on, I also will be sharing with you the 7-star scorecard. What are the key things that we look at in this location that actually ticks the box? And also, are there actually enough supply inside this area? Right. So what happens to prices is always today we can wait for what happened in COVID, meaning we wait for the entire Singapore property prices to go up, and that's based on economics, right? Or do you also want to not just wait for that to happen, and your property can also already increase? And that's down to another thing that I shared a lot in my webinar is about supply and demand. So if you have the supply and demand checked out, right, plus your commercial effect, then your growth factor will know you do not need to just wait for everybody to grow together because of a health situation like this. Your property will have a very high protection because you have both the supply and demand situation happening to your property as well as the commercial effect. And we're going to study this later on to it. Okay? All right. You can see some of you are still, yes, if you want to comment, please go ahead, comment. All right. All right. So what is our 7-star scorecard? All right, get ready. All right, so we follow very strict criteria. So every single one of our clients who approach us, sometimes it's they are upgrading from the HDB to their private property, or even when they have a private property already, they want to kind of change it out to a better location or a bigger size. Or perhaps some of them, they're like, oh, this is their first time buying a property and they don't even know how to select. So many of them is they kind of already know where they want, what they want, but they are getting really a second opinion from us to determine whether, hey, is that something right? And 9 out of 10 of them, whatever that they are thinking or whatever directions that they want to, may not fit into this 7 criteria. And that's where we advise them on, okay, these are the few things that you should take note of and you do not want to do because you don't want to make the mistakes. And that's where we will align ourselves and see whether can we help them in their search for their next property. So if today you are watching this and you're kind of already shortlisting some projects out there, some properties out there, and you know deep inside you kind of, I don't know whether this is the right one. You know, we always have that kind of feel, right? Sometimes we can feel better if it's the right one or not the right one. You may want to just reach out to us so that we can actually guide you through a consultation process. and using our framework, the REI method, we are able to get you more clarity, more confidence, and more knowledge. So when you're choosing your property, you feel at ease. So I think that's what we want. So these are the 7 things that we will look at. And briefly, I will also share with you why. So the here and one north, one of the key things for schools is because it's what 1 km to Fairfield. And Fairfield basically is Doremi. Once you go into Fairfield, it's affiliation all the way already. So for parents, you no need to worry about, wow, I need to change school, secondary school, and junior college, then you have to 搬家, move house again. So that is one of the key reason in One North area is getting such a good demand. Okay, of course the schools are great, and these are all 1 km. So the only thing is that if you are in a high demand school, right, competition also quite high lah. But at least you have a chance, you see. And of course, without that, besides Fairfield, you also have other educational centers. So all these you all can actually read it online. So I'm not going to cover too much of it. But I think there's a few key traits that I believe here at One North stands out versus a lot of the other projects. That's why this is one of the most, I'm waiting for this. Okay, I'm actually waiting for this for a while. And I believe that if today we have X amount of quantum that we want to exhaust and want to put it into the right property, I believe this is one of the choice. Of course, it still depends on your situation, whether in terms of quantum, whether the timeline, what's your horizon of holding the property. All this still plays a part. But of course, we will be able to advise you what's the right direction that we should go for. So for here, one of the advantage is MRT. Okay, I mean, I think you all have heard before people say, wow, property near MRT is the best. If I can roll into the MRT means the best, I can buy the property. And not true for total for everything. So recently we actually did because we have our access to data. So recently I actually nothing better to do then I go and pull out to do some comparison. For example, 10 minutes MRT distance to the property and a 15 minutes MRT distance, does it equate to lower profits in the end? Right? How many of you find that if let's say you are further away from MRT, you will have your profits will be lesser, and if you're nearer to the MRT, even 1 minute to MRT, your profits are better. So when I did the research, I had a shock. All right, so for all of you, so some of you who are actually curious to find out what's the answer, right? Just comment inside. MRT, okay, and then maybe we can have a discussion on that, and I will show you what I've done in terms of my research. All right, the outcome is quite shocking in that sense. All right, so of course for one here and one off for convenience sake, of course every one of us we want near the MRT, we want transportation. Even though we are driving, we still want to be near MRT. So of course, one thing you must also understand, anything that is nearer to MRT, close to MRT, definitely the developers will also charge a premium. Okay, everybody knows it. It's just that, so I always tell myself, it's not that I don't want to pay for the premium, but is that premium worth it for that distance? So let's say, for example, now, Buona Vista MRT, you're about 6-minute walk. One North MRT, you're about 6-minute walk. So you're kind of, hey, I got 2 MRT stations. So which means the developer also know, so if the developer also knows, the question is how much of a increase of premium they're going to factor it into it. How much percentage? How much PSF? And then we will have to analyze, is this X amount of PSF worth it? So I've researched before, and there are clients who went to buy properties that is really good into the MRT, meaning you roll into the MRT. Roll means maybe 1 to 2 minutes walk, you can reach the MRT, or even integrated property. But those properties are at least, the last round when I last checked one of the property, right, it's about $150 to $180 per square foot more versus one that is about maybe 5 to 7 minutes walk away. So in these kind of cases, we have to be very careful to kind of compare, okay, is this $180 per square foot worth for that difference of 5 minutes? Okay, so this is something else. So can you imagine if you're owning a 1,000 square foot property, if it's $180 per square foot difference, that means it's 180,000. You are paying 180,000 to save that 5 minutes of walking time. Is it worth it? All right. So that's why there's a lot of computations that sometimes when we are buying a property, we just look at the surface. Nothing wrong, because that's what 90% or 95% of the consumers out there are buying property just like that. For us, we are a little bit more careful. We want to use data and numbers to kind of detect whether is it safe, whether is it worth it where we put our money is. So of course for here one off, you are spoiled for choice because two MRTs are also very close by. And so you cannot say, hey, very far there, for MRT. Of course, once you're at the MRT, the connectivity, I don't think I need to cover too much of this. All right, so I think one key thing for here at One Now is that we are already seeing growing amenities around the area. So it's not a boring town. Last time when we go to a lot of the CBD area, Shenton Way, even in weekends, it's nothing really because all the shops are closed. Actually, there's not much shops. There's only offices. So ever since 2012, when the government came in with the plan, work, live, and play, you start to have even amenities in office environment. So One North is also one of the key areas that we see that the amenities are coming up. We have the Rochester Mall, Star Vista. So all these, even on a normal daily weekends, are also a lot of people. So that's why there's amenities around where you can also enjoy the process. So of course, One Holland Village already open, and this is of course the next big buzz around the area. So you're very close by to that, and that also helps you to allow your amenities, your daily grocery shopping. You're kind of spot for choice already. So even though you say, hey, Edmund, if I move into a office town, then weekends I cannot do anything, and which is quite true because we have units at Marina One, right? And a lot of the tenants actually on Saturday, Sunday, they all complain, hey, one cannot, nothing to eat. They have to order in or they have to really travel quite far because within Marina One is too much office. But One North area, the difference is there's a hybrid. There's a hybrid of both the office areas as well as common homeowners, amenities, residents, and everything. So that's why this area projects a little bit of a unique point. And I always talk about supply, right? Later on, it will be quite interesting because when this data came out, right, we realized that One North is actually hugely, extremely, I don't know what words can I use, under supply. Okay, so let us take a look, right? So why do I say so? Is because today a lot of the properties in One North area are considered old properties. Okay, we're talking about Dover Park, Heritage View, Rochester. All these are already slightly older. The younger ones are Blossom, One North, Eden, so these are the younger ones. And if I collate all the properties here, including here in One North, which is about 142 units, you can see that there's a very low density area here. The only high density is the Normanton Park. Well, of course, Normanton Park is quite far away. So there are over 1,800 units. But if you talk about the entire One North collectively, I think if I plus everything, it's not even 1,008 or maybe slightly more. So total units here is about 4,300, 4,500 units only. But there will be a working population of 50,000. Of course, the idea is not 50,000 will be buying and renting. But if we are talking about the comparison in percentage, only 9% of the 50,000 will have a chance to stay in this location. So this is also one of the reasons why previous slides, if you see, the demand take-up rate is very, very high. First, there's not enough supply, or they have the supply, but they're slightly older. And second is because as the businesses expand, that's why I say this is the commercial effect. When the commercial effect is real, when people start having offices there, the business starts setting up there, people will want to stay nearby, especially the management people. Right? So it's more convenient, but yet they do not need to pay extremely high price like when they are in Shenton Way, when they're in Orchard Road, the CBD area or Marina area. Here you can experience the same thing even for like Midtown Modern area, Bugis area. You do not need to pay that kind of $3,000 per square foot, but you can get the same experience. So this is what we mean by why we are seeing value in One North, especially for here in One North, especially. So now if let's say we talk about low supply, but if let's say I remove Normanton Park, because Normanton Park, we can say, hey, this one is a bit further away. It's not really at One North. Okay, we remove. Or then lucky was the numbers drop at 2,600 plus units only to 50,000 working population. The numbers dropped to only 5.3%. 5.3% is so pathetic. It's so exclusive. So today, if you're staying in One North, right, you can call yourself, I'm the top 5%, in the entire 50,000 population to actually stay in. And that is also a reason why today, if we start seeing a lot more businesses set up there, and from the transformation you see, we are seeing that there are actually a lot of plots left. That means we are talking about 6 plots, right? And white color means white size. White size means they can build commercials and residential together. And because there's such a huge low supply in this location, it's only a matter of time in the next 10 years, right? I mean, I wouldn't even say 10 years. I would say in the next 3, 5, or even 10 years down the road. All these plot of lands, which is considered white sites under the master plan, they will be released and basically enhance the location. Because this is how Singapore stay afloat. This is how Singapore position themselves as the hub of all the financial institution. And now we are drawing all the technology people, the logistic people as well. Because that's how Singapore stay afloat, right? We have to stay competitive. So this entire future transformation is very interesting. And I always believe that today, one of the key things, if you want to make sure that you're buying a right property that you can sell, because we always look at exit, is you must also have HDBs around, your upgraders. These are mainly your upgraders that will next time potentially buy your property. So then the next question comes is that then will you be able to buy just 1 bedroom? Does it make sense? Or a 2 bedroom will suffice? So later on, as we cover the layouts and everything, you will have a sense of why I am very excited about here and One North. Okay, there are some strategic move that this development give that will help us in our sale in future. That means how we sell it to all these upgraders in future. And you can see that all these are $1 million BTOs. And it's not cheap. They are one of the most expensive HDB estate. You know, they're hovering what 900,000 now, that kind of pricing for HDB. You know, it's kind of crazy. And recently we have all the $1 million kind of properties. Because this entire area, One North, they're all undergoing a change, meaning the older properties are also moving away. They are kind of releasing some of the areas. And you will have heard about this in the news. Tanglin Halt and Commonwealth transformations are coming up, and they are so near to One North. So when this area gets developed alongside with all the other white sites, this area will be another mega transformation. So that's why we are saying that right now for One North, this is one of the very ideal plot, you know, and the one of the key reason is this is the only plot that you can basically face the green frontage. You're surrounded by the park. Okay. So of course, today we're not going to go too deep into what the specifics of the project and everything. And if you really find that, hey, this is something that you're looking out for, you've been exploring this, but you don't have a chance, or perhaps you have missed some of the developments like reserve residences before, yeah, you may want to reach out to us so that we can actually help you to arrange and kind of guide you through what we are seeing. So today we are more on the analytics part, and there's also another set of consults that we can help you with to kind of drive towards, okay, is here at One North really the ideal properties for you? Is your horizon able to capitalize on this to maximize your profits? Or perhaps you're just buying this from an investment perspective. You know, how can this help you choose and be a stepping stone to your next property? So very important. Yeah, so the ideal land plot for One North, right? And because there are so many different plots, right? You have Blossoms, you have One Eden, and you have One North. Of course, One North Residences is a bit older already. And then now you have the Hill at One North, right? So this Hill at One North is one of the better positioned sites, if you ask me. So first of all, it's facing the green frontage and by the park. So it's away from the main road, which is good. And it's not a big development. That means most of them are about 200 plus. This one is 100 plus. So it's more exclusive. So recently, I was showing a tenant. A tenant has 2 choices. So we have one property at Coastline Residences and another one at Amber Park. So when anyone who inquires, of course, they will want to see both, right? So as we went to Amber Park is like, wow, massive, right? A lot of units. You know, immediately she stepped in, she said, hey, can we go already? I said, why? So I think too many people, too many units, even though it's big. He said, oh, why is this a concern? So she said that, well, I mean, if I'm working from office, coming back, I want peacefulness, I want a little bit more quiet. I don't want to have too much noise, not many people. Yeah, so eventually she chose Coastline Residences because it's 100 over units. It's very exclusive. It's very quiet. And the feeling is a little bit more atas also. So here at One North, we give you that kind of vibe. And this is how the developer has done. And that's why I find that this is something worth to consider. to compare some of the projects that you may be already monitoring. Especially right now, everybody is talking about uh, Lentor. Okay. So you can if I check my videos, you can see I never even touch any of the Lentor properties lah. Or I mean not say that it's no good lah. Okay. I got my fair share of thoughts about it. If you have bought already, please do not reach out to me and tell me whether do you buy a correct choice or not. But those of you who are considering, okay, maybe I can give you my 2 cents worth. What do I see in the marketplace? Not now, but in the next 3 to 5 years about all these properties that's out there that you can purchase. Okay. All right, so let us study the floor plan. I know many of you are waiting for this. And remember to stay on through all the way because every single layout type, I'm going to do a comparison, okay, with the youngest surrounding property. And then we will find out, actually, does here at One North stands out like it is, or the other parties, when we are selling, they will actually have a more advantage. Right, so this is what we always do for our clients during our consultations on a one-on-one, because today, whatever you buy, we want to make sure that you are also able to sell it at a good price. So that's why there are so many different criteria and factors that we put into. Right. So for one of the key highlight, okay, you will have noticed here at One North, do not build a 1 bedroom or even a 1+1. Very smart. Okay. So some of you, I'm not sure whether are you familiar, but some of you may be going through a lot of videos and all this stuff, and then you kind of become a mini agent expert. You're quite an expert already, and you're an agent already. So some of you may know the harmonization rules. Okay, so just to take note, for here One North is not under the harmonization rule yet. Okay, because they bought the land slightly earlier before the rules came out. So this is definitely still under the old scheme. But the question I want to ask every one of you here is why did the developer did not build the 1 bedroom and 1+1 bedroom, which is typically the developers who want to have a lot such units and they so that they can maximize their profit, right? Why did they not? All right, share your comments in the share your answers in the comment, and let's see what are some of your thoughts. There's no right or wrong answers. Okay, we are here to learn, and perhaps some of the things you mentioned will be correct. So when I was studying this, right, I realized, and based on the supply that we have seen just now, the future demand and how the entire one-off area is, I think this is a very smart move that the developer did. And one of the reasons is they also don't want to how should I call it? They want to keep it to a certain standard. I mean, typically, if we have a lot of the 1 and 1+1 type of properties, right, generally you will get a lot more mixed kind of tenant pool or even buyers or the singles. And even though, so you have a lot more single 1 bedroom units, that means you will have to forego on some of the other sizes. And typically, the 3 bedroom, 2 bedroom, then you have to kind of reduce them in that sense. But because I think the developer also foresee in future where everybody starts looking at a slightly bigger place because of the harmonization, every one of us will need at least a minimum 2 bedroom types, which will why in One North you will stand out. Okay, you will stand out in this sense because first of all, there's more units. So even for transaction wise, it's going to be very, very healthy. And second is that the size is not the small 2 bedrooms. All right, so you'll be surprised that there are some developments, their 2 bedrooms are like 500 plus square feet, 600 square feet. I think those, I don't even call them 2 bedrooms. They're basically 1+1. So it's just a way of how developers put it up. But typically, when I look at this layout, I'm very surprised that they actually forego the building a lot more 1 bedrooms for profits, but they place it very, very livable space for every single one of us. All right, so let's say we talk about 2+2 bath. See, they don't even build 2 bed, 1 bath. It goes straight away to something livable and something comfortable that you can even stay beyond 10 years if you want to start a small family. So for 2 bed, 2 bath, there are of course only 11 units, and the one of it is facing the pool and the other one is facing the green side. Okay, that's where uh the garden is. Okay, and because we do all the work for you, I really analyze it. I put it out there so that you all don't need to do the work. And these are what we always do to compare every single properties, whether it's a new property, a resale property. We will be able to assess the layout, and that's where we will give you our judgment on why this layout works or don't work. Okay, we are very transparent. We don't sugarcoat anything. If we find that the property has some flaws, I will have to highlight to you. And that's where we make a decision to it, whether we want to move forward with it. So the two bed, two bath is actually, so this is just one of the layout. And you can see it's an enclosed kitchen concept, enclosed kitchen. All right, let's see here. Okay, enclosed kitchen. All right, and they don't block any of the walkway. Because some of the layout you see for kitchen, they kind of protrude out. And it eats into your walkway, and then it kind of defeats the purpose. So this two bed, of course, two bed, two bath, you have to also acknowledge that we've been enclosed. This one also no window. Two bed, two bath usually are in the center of the stack, which is what we saw just now. If you can see from here, right, it's in the center stack. So they will not get any windows also. So it's very rare to get two bed, two bath with windows. All right. On hand, I do have a couple of properties that is two bed, two bath with windows. Okay, but it's very rare. It's very rare to have. That's why we get our investors to purchase. And now it's hot cakes, I would say. Very hot cakes in the market. All right. So for this one, enclosed kitchen and a proper dining. So a lot of times the two bed, two bath are unable to fit in the dining area. So this one you have an open area that you can actually create. Of course, it's really up to you. You can put your dining there. If not, you can always open it up into a storage area or even a study area. And then you move your dining to the balcony, which is very common nowadays. And this balcony, definitely, if you want to put in a four-seater, is very good size. Or I think it has become a norm that we accepted balcony to be used as a livable area. Once you do your zip track, you can do it very nicely. You can aircon it out. You can put a fan, the lights. I think it will double up as a living hall. So of course we already did. See how we did a lot of research for you. We even kind of estimated the cheapest two-bedroom stack will be about stack 4. So practically you can take this information and go and purchase it. But I would strongly advise you not to do it. Why? Because there may be certain things that you're missing out. Cheapest in terms of price. But how we're going to sell the property, how this property is going to help you, that's something that why we as professionals are here to advise you and guide you on. So for the 7, you can see the size is very good, 732 square foot. And for this one, it's facing the pool. And kind of you have a view of sight of the park. And what's most important is there's no afternoon sun. Okay, the other stack is at stack 13. All right, so it's more open towards the park and no afternoon view. So if you look at afternoon sun, so if you look at the layout, this one quite a typical. I mean, you can't run away too much from two bed, two bath, or there's nothing much you can do. But I want to do a comparison now. I want to do a comparison. If let's say today let's say 5 years down the road, you buy already, 6 years down the road, you want to sell this property as a resale, and people will definitely come and compare, because they'll compare this, you'll compare Blossoms, One North, Eden, all this they will compare. So we did a comparison just directly with Blossom, because Blossom is the youngest, right? And if you can see, right, there's a huge distinction between two type of properties. Both are two bed, two bath. But for Blossom, right, you can see that first of all, it's an open kitchen. Okay? And when you go in, you start seeing the kitchen. Although, yes, you do have a proper dining here, but it's kind of along the walkway, you see. So it's not like enclosed. I'm not saying enclosed, but you don't have a corner for it, you see. And the size is smaller. This is about 678 square feet. And it's either you're having a pool facing or the main road facing. So you have a choice for this. So the difference you can see at here one now, you're getting a proper enclosed kitchen. You have a proper dining space. So you kind of separate all your areas very, very comfortably. And of course, the size is bigger, and you have a more open view of the park. So if today you ask yourself, you are a buyer looking to buy the area for own stay, or even you're renting that place, and both are basically almost similar locations, similar distance to the MRT, which one will you choose? You see? So that's why the comparison for layouts are extremely important, and we always spend a ton of time looking into this. So the here at One North, what happens is they not only just do two bed, two bath, which is smart. They have about I think if I'm not wrong, 11 units. Let me check. Yeah, about 11 units. And then they also have what? The two bed plus study, 19 units. So this is the one that I find, wow, it's like a match in heaven kind of property. All right, of course, they are all outside facing for the two bed plus study, and they have about 19 units. So let's take a look. Even though there's only 19 units, they actually have 3 different layouts. Size-wise, very similar, not much. But if you look at the stack 8 configuration, they also come with enclosed kitchen. You see, enclosed here. The enclosed kitchen is here. All right. So it's tucked away and it doesn't kind of come into your living area, your dining area. And they also open out a open area of a dining. But for this layout, I would suggest you may want to just move this to the balcony. Okay, and this area you can make it become like a breakfast counter. So it kind of a high stool breakfast counter. It will kind of give it a little more elegant setup. And because this unit comes with a study, all right, this is an advantage because right now from your bedroom, right, it becomes you can create another bigger walk-in wardrobe if you want, and the study space is kind of connected to the unit. And so this is something very rare because most of them, when they have a study, they are not connected to the bedroom. So this is something, of course, you can enclose it. It's really entirely up to you how you want to configure this. Also, for this stack 8, advantage is you are in a dumbbell setup. Okay, a dumbbell setup. So when we are dumbbell setup, meaning you save space, there's no corridor, and basically it's like you can rent out both units, both rooms as master room because they all have toilets attached and you no need to worry. And for some of you who are also interested, like, hey, can I reconfigure this? Technically, you can also configure another room here if you want to. Or so you can also turn it into a third room and rent them out separately. Don't say I teach one. Okay, but if you need help in how to maximize the capacity of your unit, do let me know. We have our team of consultants who have done this for their clients, and we ourselves have also done it. We can also help you with it. Okay, so stack 9. So stack 9 configuration is slightly different because it's outer facing. All right, so of course they also still have the enclosed kitchen when you come in. And basically all three are very similar. It's just the layout slightly different facing. Where is it? So for 2 bed, 2 bath, you have to always accept the fact that only one room of the window is full glass. Okay, that's where the aircon latch is for one of the rooms. So generally this is how it is. It's very rare to get a 2 bed, 2 bath with how do you call it, full window. So recently I have about 3 units that we have 2 bed, 2 bath with full glass and no disturbance of the aircon latch and everything. Yeah, so of course all this it was through all the research that we've done that we managed to find such properties. Okay, but never say cannot. Okay, so I don't believe that we cannot find. A lot of people say, hey, I get a 2 bed, 2 bath, I need to accept the fact that I don't have windows. I have to accept the fact that I have to have an open kitchen. Not necessarily true. If you study hard enough, you research deep enough, you'll be able to find. But save the trouble. Just look for us. We will help you we will tell you where is the property that have all these components that you may be looking out for. Yeah, especially windows. Again, I'm not talking about just windows by the kitchen. I'm even talking about toilet windows. Because toilet windows are something that's usually missing in all the 2 beds out there. Always missing out. But the properties that we always choose for our clients and help them to purchase, right? They have a bonus one. Wow, kitchen got toilet, kitchen have windows, or maybe the aircon latch is not there, or perhaps some of them even for the windows in the toilet. So these are all the added advantage that you can add on to your sales in the future. Okay, because always remember, when you buy a property, it's easy. When you want to sell, that's where the situation comes. All right, so this one is facing outwards. So there's this units. Of course, there's another facing, which is the inward facing, which is the pool facing. So there's an additional 27 units out there. So total, we're talking about 30 or 40 2 bed, 2 bath plus study. So the inward facing that they are basically 4 layouts. They're also very similar. Okay, not much changes about there. The key thing is that you just have to understand that they don't have an enclosed kitchen. So this is the difference. They are doing an open kitchen concept. Okay. Of course, if you see it this way, it's like, hey, can I convert it into an enclosed one? It'll be a little bit difficult because, like, for example, this one you want to enclose here, lor. But then your study how? You see? Here you can enclose, but you enclose it this way. Also possible lah. You see, but it's just that they had this concept for open approach, and they are also dumbbell units. So just take note, all the 2 bed, 2 baths plus study are all dumbbell units. So which makes it more efficient in terms of space. And all of them have the proper dining area also. So let us do a comparison with Blossom again. If let's say today we are buying and we are choosing between Blossoms and here at One North, let us take a look at the comparison. So Blossoms for a 2-bed, 2-bar plus study, no matter what, is a open kitchen and very narrow. So the moment you have this kind of narrow, I always say no, no. Okay, your dining area is along the corridor. So you ask me, is that a space? Yeah, just move it to the dining so that you can clear out that space. Or we have seen enough to know that this kind of configuration, it may look possible in floor plan, okay? But in actual fact, you will complain. You will complain because the dining, you have to buy slightly smaller table. You cannot put in too big, you cannot put too many chairs out there. So end up, a lot of them, they just move the dining to the balcony. Okay. So size-wise, of course, their Blossoms generally are slightly smaller. That's why they have more units. And it's kind of a little bit more too compact. Okay, I believe since COVID, even actually way before COVID, every one of us are looking at space. So today, if we are moving into a more tight environment, right, you rather pay a little bit more for something more comfortable. So that's why here in One North also stands out with this. So let us take a look at the 3-bedroom. So 3 bedrooms, you can see they are slightly 12 units, and these are the outer units. The total, we have about 26 units, sorry, 36 units for all the 3 bedrooms. So 12 units facing out, and let us take a look. And because they are all in the corner, so when they're corner means what? You must have, meaning windows in all the bathrooms. Okay, you must have, you cannot compromise on this for your 3 bedroom. Or a lot of times when they do there's a popular one, the last 2 years, people buy 3 bedroom compact and then no window one. Wow, then I say that you pay so much money, 2 over million for a property with ventilated fan in your toilet. I'm like, don't make sense. Or because for 3 bedroom usually is what young family with 2 kids. You want to make sure that the hygiene, everything is done properly. So always choose 3 bedrooms if you can that is in corner. Must. Anything in center, which there is, you may want to take note of that when you're choosing. All right, so of course, the 3 bedrooms here, later on, we will compare also with the Blossoms. So maybe you say, Edmund, wow, such a big, long drive entrance. Wow, waste space. This one also, wow, waste space. Waste space. Okay, so I mean, of course, these are the how the layout is, but later on, as we compare, then you will see how it is or with Blossoms. All right, so the 3 bedrooms are kind of good size, 980 and 1044. I think 1044 is good size. But typically, if you ask me, yes, it's kind of a little bit sad that they have a lot of wasted space in the 2 zones that I just highlighted. But I think it's because of the layout, the entire building configuration. They kind of wanting to extend it out a little bit, so they kind of build a longer entrance. But nevertheless, Singaporeans are very smart with using space. They can have more space to build cabinets here. They can have a shoe area here. They can have a painting. So we know how to make use of it. Even the property that I'm renting right now, I also have a very long kind of entrance. But at the end, we also still make use of it. Put our shoes. We put a painting there. So you still have space to make use of it. But of course, from a value perspective, okay, we are paying for this area that basically we can't really use. Okay, so it's the same thing. When sometimes when you're looking for 3 bedroom, one of the key thing that everybody looking at is yard. Correct, a yard. So a yard, then this one don't have no yard. So that means is it worth and is it ideal? So most of the 900 plus square foot units usually don't have yard. And you'll be surprised that even the 1044 also no yard. So the question is why? Okay, it's also down to value because every space that you are having in your unit, you are paying for it. So do you want to pay a 50,000 amount, right? Just for your washer to be there. Okay, this is the context. If I calculate the PSF and everything, right? It's like you're paying $50,000 for a space for the yard, for your washing machine. Wow, a little bit expensive. So why we have dryer, why we have washer and dryer, it's also sitting one tuck in one corner, and then that's it. You don't need to bother about it. And when you just dry it, you just move it. So then the extra space that they use it for yard, they can what? Convert it to other places so that you can make your rooms bigger, your living area also wider because the 3 bedroom, this one is about 3 meters. So it's a very good space. And you'll be surprised like when you're down at the show flat, right? You can make an appointment with us. We can help you to, go down to the preview and take a look. And that's where I can share with you what are the key traits of things of how the property is and how the different layouts compare to each other. So the 980 and 1044 basically is just the size. The only difference is 1044 you have this household shelter which you double up is what as storage, and this storage is kind of tucked away in one corner. It's not like in your around your corridor, sometimes very ugly, right? Or this one tucked at one corner is the best, because you don't see it. And when you want it, then you just go there and take whatever shoes and everything. So this is kind of a good idea that you put your bomb shelter right at the entrance. So the other interfacing is about 22 units. All these are the inner pool facing. So the layout wise, so this is where the difference comes. They have a slightly compact size, 947, or the pool facing corner unit. Typically very comfortable. So it's very much like the 2-bed pool bath. It's just that right now you have an extra room. The rest are quite self-explanatory. Self-explanatory. You have your kitchen proper, and the best part is for your 3 bedroom, all of these are full glass, or your aircon latch is behind, this is what we call a smart developer. Okay, they plan their design very nicely so that we can whatever we pay for, we can enjoy. The 10231, so this one comes with the bomb shelter, which is fine because it's away from everything. And typically, I think this is also another layout that I personally feel that is doable. Or people say that, then I pay for the bomb shelter for what? But I think as long as you double it up as a storeroom, storage, I think it's fine. We all need storage. If not, you have to get storage beds. That's the problem for most of the properties right now. Don't have enough space for storage. Else, I do have clients who turn home shelters into their wine chiller. Okay, yeah, I've heard. I don't know whether have you heard it before. You can turn it into a wine chiller. Your cheese platter or whatever, you can put it inside. So that's also another way of utilizing the space instead of putting them out. Yeah, so the 1023 and the 1033 both are very similar. It's just that the additional kind of corridor here differences are all, and the rest are quite similar. So let us take a comparison between this and Blossoms. So Blossoms one is slightly bigger. Again, they are all pool facing. So a very fair one whenever we do comparison. We need to make sure that we are actually comparing the same size, similar, facing also similar. Even in terms of pricing, we cannot choose one that is high floor and low floor to kind of compare. We want them to kind of equal match. And so for Blossoms, you can see the also have windows in the bathroom. Okay, and one thing is that they have a WC. So this is the main thing for the 3 bedrooms. They have a WC. So if you're a helper, it'll be good that they can use. And if you don't have a helper, some of them, what they did was they removed the toilet bowl so that they can double it up as a storeroom. Also, it's possible. But for this Blossoms, they already have a storeroom. Okay, they already have a storeroom here. So you do not need to convert that, double it up as a storeroom. And how many times do you have guests over that you ask them to use WC? Okay, so WC kind of, if you ask me, is phasing out, or it is really not doing its purpose much anymore. It's the same thing why previously they start removing some of the sizes because realize they don't need, like even tennis courts, right? Squash court. Because of consumer behavior, generation change, the developers also have to understand how people live in future to build the type of properties that is more efficient. So if you see both side-by-side comparison, you can see that actually here in One North, they have a much more efficiency of space, even though they don't have the WC. Like for example, if let's say I say WC no need to use, then you're paying 1,076 square feet for what? The WC will take up also maybe about 30 to 40 square feet. Then it's a slightly smaller livable area. But whereas for here in One North, 1023, you are maximizing everything. Everything goes into a livable area. So which is why from the start I say that hey, this project is something very interesting. I think the way that the developer have built this is really for you to stay on for long. Okay, so then there's also another configuration, 3-bed but study. All right, so I'm going to quickly go into this. I think the 3-bed plus study, some of them double this up as a 4-bedroom. Of course, 4-bedroom will be a little bit tough because the study is basically not really fully a room. Okay, so this is how developers try to squeeze out all the margins, right? So this kind of study, if you ask me, I personally may not want to go for this kind of study at all because it's just like a wall space. So I'm paying for more, a bigger size, but technically it's not a space that I can fully utilize. So this will be a no-no for me if you ask me to choose between a 1066 versus a 1098. But a 1098 is different. Their study, you can see, it's a proper study where it's an enclosed, there's a room, and on top of it, there's still a household shelter that I can deal with. Yeah, so then the 1098 configuration seems to be much more proper. And always remember in future when you want to sell, even in your own project, if you are choosing the wrong type of properties, and the next buyer is going to compare between A and B, even though the price will definitely have some differences, which one will have a much more ease of selling and less objections? Yeah, so this is what I always highlight. All right, so the park facing 3-bed plus studies. So all the 3-bed plus studies for these 16 units are all facing the park. So I will also believe that this will be the much more premium range in terms of pricing, at least for the higher floors one. Or lower floors one also not too bad because you're not facing the main road, so it's still not too bad. And their 3-bed plus study configurations are typically very similar. Only the Stack 19 is a little bit interesting. Or if you start seeing the, okay, let's just go one by one. Okay, the ABC basically is similar lah. Okay, in terms of their space, not much difference, or just a little bit of slightly reconfiguration. But I want to point out a huge major difference about this is that for a start, if you look at it, you can see that like this kind of narrow area, right? You have to take note. Or because this kind of narrow area usually is deemed for 1 and 2 bedroom more. So if you are holding a 3-bedroom, you don't get that kind of openness and grandness. So you may want to be very careful when you're selecting the floor plan as well. But if you look at A and C, they are more typically sized the conventional way. Okay. But when it comes to D, well, this is something that we also have to, maybe I cannot accept lah. Not that it's no good lah. It's just that I always want to squeeze out every space out there, you see. So when I start looking at this, I will notice, wow, such a long corridor. Then I was like, hey, go, lost space. That's what I see. But if you configure it nicely, I think ABC will be a slightly better choice, if you ask me. Not that, I tell you, Stack 19 will also be people buying one. Why? Developer also not stupid. They will also price this kind of layout a little bit more attractively. And people with limited resources, they also will go and buy. So that's the reason why many a times I never encourage clients to buy within their budget. Okay, what do I mean by this? Meaning today, a lot of people, let's say they have 2 million. They die want to squeeze their purchase to buy this 2 million, and then they just go and purchase the property. Many a times I rejected a lot of clients when they want to buy certain properties and they can only buy A property, for example, and I don't see value in the A property. I tell them, I think you better don't buy. Okay, and then let us research more to see whether are there better properties out there. But half the time, because of the FOMO, oh, if I don't buy, I'll lose out. They will end up buying it still. So this is something that, of course, we can't stop because it's your decision, right? But we will give our fair share of sharing on why we deem that this is not so ideal and what are the complications and implications you will have in time to come. So that's where we will be very open to share our thoughts and processes, and at least you're going in with your eyes wide open. So that is the key thing. So for the 5 bedrooms, for the 4 bedrooms, of course, typically it's only 1 stack, 5 units. So it's kind of, if you look at comparison, you can't really go too far away from 4 bedroom, and this is a park facing comparison. Both are also corner units. And one thing that, if you ask me in this configuration, I personally prefer blossoms. Okay, because I like landscape. So my property right now that I'm staying is also a landscape layout. I prefer landscape layout, and it's getting less and less. Okay, I missed out one of the property that I wanted to buy with a landscape layout because I haven't sold my property in time. So I couldn't buy a landscape layout. But if given a choice, I will always want to go for that. Or typically it's still not a landscape. Okay, it's a portrait layout like this. Okay, typically it's like that. All right, so for blossoms, of course, with a landscape, I also human, I also have my likes and my needs. So yeah, this one where I don't care the price, I will just buy Blossom in that sense. But if you look at it, both are actually quite similar, lah, or in terms of the entire layout. For here at One North, of course, there's one is a junior master. Okay, a junior master area where they kind of tuck it at one corner. So let's use another different color. They tuck it at one corner. So I always find that why they want to do it this way? It's like a mini dumbbell unit kind of configuration. But I mean, it does make sense, right? Some you want to when you have a guest, Singapore seldom will have guests, especially, and you just use that as a guest room, lah. Or but you will be like your naughty kid will usually go there, or the noisy kid usually will stay there. Okay, if you have a big family, or and then they will usually want to choke that place because oh I want my own space. So this will help. For Blossom, of course, it's a typical kind of configuration. And I think for Blossom, it kind of wins my heart a little bit is because the kitchen and the yard area is kind of a proper normal yard space. And I'm still quite traditional in that. I believe if let's say your family is big enough, you cannot sacrifice on the washing portion. And it's really a hassle if you just have a washer and a dryer and then you don't have yard area. So from the usual day to day, okay, every single day you're doing a yard, WC, all this will still help in terms of your day to day living lifestyle. So that's why when we do a comparison, it is very clear. So what next is I'm going to share with you like what are the pricing. Okay, of course we don't know the pricing yet. So for some of you who are like, hey, Edmund, after you share this, I kind of interested, want to find out a little bit more. I really want to see the model. I want to see. All right, drop me a text. You have my contacts are all inside the various channels. You can find me. Yeah, just ping me a WhatsApp and let me know that hey, Edmund, I just went through your session. I'm interested to kind of find out a little bit more. Can you help me? Yeah, that way you can go into conversation and see what else can we do to help you. All right, because the pricing wise, we can only do an estimate. Right, so like for example, the two-bed and two-bed plus study, the prices estimate. So we will have a range of what's the average per square foot, what's the sizes, and then we will come out a benchmark. And this is the time where a lot of agents fail to do. All right, so a lot of agents, they just want you to go to ballot and then they just, oh, any prices come out, go. You're in a pressure cooker. And I'll be very open with you where we also have clients, we guided them to go into the show flat with the intention not to buy. Okay, you'll be surprised. That means you are getting a good ballot number, but we go in with the intention not to buy. We just want to find out what is the pricing that they release. So this is where it's very crucial. 99% of people when they are in the show flat, they are being pressured to purchase something because oh, the choice unit you want is no more, and then you please choose the next one, even though it may be higher than your budget a little bit, or choose something that it just oh because my budget is this way, I just want to get something. So it is an environment that you have to be prepared. Or 9 out of 10 people who I know go to show flat, even though they actually say they don't want to buy, they end up still buying. Or FOMO effect, pressure cooker effect, I mean, many different factors. And sometimes it's quite sad. It's quite sad that after they purchase, then they have to reach out and ask the magic question, did they buy correctly or not? So I hope that those who are in this session, you don't make a mistake first. All right, we're not saying that you will, but at least you can kind of consider all your different options first before you decide. And you can gain the knowledge and be more confident about your choice. That is where my team and I, we want to help you with that. Also, instead of you go in and then you overpay a certain property without you realizing because you haven't done your homework. And then when you come out, you start going through my video and you realize, did I buy too expensive? You know, that kind of thing. I think give ourselves the benefit that we have time to actually choose and not be pressured into purchasing something that's a lot of money. So please, I always believe benchmarking yourself through data and numbers is definitely a first step. Secondly is to benchmark your financial ability. Yes, that 20,000, 30,000 may not make much a difference in terms of your money installment, in terms of your down payment. But I can tell you what difference you'll make if you choose the wrong unit. Okay, it may be this 20, 30,000 that you overpay. Maybe there are another unit, another facing that is much, much cheaper. Then you are also stuck. So these are the things that we usually see a lot of people make mistake. That's why we are extremely careful when we are helping you, even during the balloting day, or whether it's a new launch like this, a resale, or even those balance units that you want to go and purchase. We want to study what's the benchmark pricing, and question is, can we accept that differences of premium? Also, that's why we will do comparison like this for 2-bed study, and even for 3-bed, 4-bed, we will all have all this data for you to access, and then we benchmark it according to your affordability before I look at it. So one of the key thing that why I believe One North in time to come, especially if let's say you are looking at from an investment per se. All right. So investment per se is always crucial. Not that this property is going to, you're going to hold this property for the longest time. It may not necessarily be, but I believe that in a midterm approach, here One North will gain a huge advantage, mainly due to a few reasons. First, the transformation is still ongoing; it's not finished yet. And second, the supply itself is really low. And when supply is low, there's still a huge demand coming. What will happen to price? Okay, you ask yourself, if there's a low supply and there's a huge demand coming in the next couple of years, or should I say potentially is coming in, what will happen to price usually? So today, if you have an advantage, first mover advantage into it to secure something that the land cost is also lower, that will help us. So one key point that I was doing my research and I look at the possible tenants in this area, I start kind of pull out like who will want to rent this area, who will buy this area to stay. So most of it is because of the businesses around, or all the tech companies, all the logistic companies, right? The It's always the management or the higher management that they want to stay around the area. So a lot of them could, I mean, maybe just singles or just a couple, right? They have not have family yet. So that's also a reason why here in One North, you don't particularly see all the big units. It's still the relative sizable ones. That means even if you have a young kid, you can still stay at here in One North. You see. And when I look at the profiles, looking at the renter, we're talking about the managers, their income level is very good, very comfortable. And what does this mean to you as an investor in future is that the tenants you're getting are got standard lah, or the white collars, the professionals, which means that half the time they are not in the unit because they are working, right? And they come back to sleep, or maybe they're traveling most of the time, but they come back, they still need to sleep. So that's why these are the kind of profiles that most likely you'll be getting. And that will help in what your maintenance of the unit will be better. They wouldn't want to bother because they also know that, hey, anything happens to the unit, the deposit will be confiscated. So they have their rights in some ways, that they know that, hey, I'm working in the company, maybe I'm the manager, I'm the CEO, or maybe I'm a director. I wouldn't want my landlord to see me as another kind of tenant. Yeah, so this is how we've been experiencing in a lot of the upper market kind of properties. Yeah, the profile types you get is where your location is, what kind of tenant pools you're going to get. So I'm very positive about that area in terms of the tenant pool. And because there's still a lack of supply, all right, so you do not need to worry about competition at all. And tenants like to go for newer properties. Oh, and at the same time, because One North is still transforming, it has transformed, and there are new projects coming up. But the longer, the better. Okay, the longer wait, the better it is, because there will be even more things coming into One North that we are already seeing in the next 2 to 3 years. There will be more things happening, and just nice, that's when the TOP of here at One North is. That's where we capitalize on it. So everything is about timing. And this is the estimate renter. Of course, some of them are really transacted. You can go to online to check. So on average, we are talking about, I'm very fair. We take some of the older ones and the newer ones, and then we average it out. For 2 bedroom can go about 5,008, 3 bedroom about 6,008, and 4 bedroom about 7,006. So these are all the current ones, and the Rochester Heritage is 2011. Their TOP, which is considered the youngest, but youngest is also about 10 years. So which means that today, if I just add a little bit 10% premium, You have the latest technology, you have the latest amenities, design also very, very modern. Am I able to just command just a just a small 10% increase in terms of premium? Yeah. So even if you don't want to have that 10%, you just rent back almost the same price, or almost the same price, maybe another $200 more. Do you think nobody want to rent from you, man? You see, so that is the reason why when we are seeing this, we say that hey, the rental approach is not bad. And of course, we also want to start looking at the yield lah. Okay, although Singapore, we don't really look at yield, but for some of the places, I think the yield rates are very fantastic. So I also have this estimated, let's say your selling price averagely lah, or I put it at a low 2006, average selling price. So that means whenever you buy this property, this how to break down. For 2 bedroom, will be about 1.9 million, all the way to 3 plus study, about 2.6 plus million, about $2,600 per square foot. You can see that from the average estimate rental that we calculated, averagely you're also getting about 6.5% and above to even 4% for your yield. All right, so in Singapore, is commercial properties, then you may get such comfortable yield. Okay, most of the local residential properties, you're getting 3 and below. So one aspect is today, even if you are looking for own stay, you have a choice later on. You have a choice to say that, hey, do you want to stay inside? And this afternoon, I just had a chat with another client of mine. We are buying the property this weekend. The reason why is that I always like to give clients flexibility. Meaning today, if let's say you buy here at One North, who knows what's going to happen in the next 3 years, right? And these 3 years, if it's up, you can choose to stay if you want to. But if let's say the rental or the market condition is really very good and your advantage, you may choose to want to rent here at One North Hub. And then you can rent somewhere else as well. So you have flexibility, but at least after you have done it, right? At least once you have purchased it, you know your value is being protected. You already secured a good property with a good value that is being protected. That even you hold this property for the next 8 years or 10 years, you do not need to worry because the renter is there to help you to cover. And it will only get higher. Why? Because demand low, supply low, demand is ongoing for the next couple of years, still very high. All right. So with that, I'm really glad that many of you are still staying on to actually preview this. And I believe this is why I do feel that the here at One North has a very good story to sell. And anyone who is coming in, you will be able to kind of have a good grasp of the situation. But again, like I mentioned, this is not for everybody because everybody's situation is different. It may sound good from the video of what I shared, but does it really relate to you in your lifestyle? Does it really help you in your next 5, 10 years, 15 years directions? That really depends on the objective and your plans. And so if you really want to reach out for a one-on-one consultation with us, just reach out to us and we will arrange a call back so we can kind of find out, okay, what kind of stages are you at? What kind of situation or problems you're facing that you're unable to kind of solve it yourself. And we may be able to give you some guidance on how to get more clarity. And once we get your clarity, we'll bring you also through the REI method to get clarity during this review. And at the same time, we will educate you to keep your market updates, up to mark. One of the reasons why you are unable to make any form of decision largely is also because you do not have the right knowledge, you do not have the right access to the information or the right data to kind of do some comparison. And once you got these two aspects done, very highly chance you'll be very confident when we are selecting the property together with you. All right, so I hope that today's session on here at One North give you guys a huge insight of what is happening. So do share inside the comment what other projects you'd like me to give my experience and my insights about. Very open, no sugar coating, very truthfully, yes, no, good, no good kind of comments. And I look forward to see you in our private consult as well to see how we can help you. All right. So meanwhile, if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe because we churn out weekly contents to educate all the consumers out there and busy professionals. So with that, I'll see you guys real soon. Cheers.